Revelation 2416. From the 20th of July 1942. Working of the Spirit, World Knowledge. Knowing the Godhead. The greatest worldly knowledge must pale in comparison to the knowledge the human being has received through the working of the Spirit, and again, the worldly knowledge must also correspond to this knowledge if it is born from a believing, God-affirming and God-aspiring heart whose life is an activity of unselfish neighborly love. Consequently, these people will also always live in truth if they think about spiritual problems, for they do not answer their questions by virtue of their intellect, but the thoughts ascend from the heart and will therefore always be truth because the Spirit of God instructs them. If the knowledge is gained in a different way, that is, if it has indeed also been gained through thought but with a worldly sense, without recognition of a God being which is in closest connection with the human being, and consequently also without requesting the strength of a God being, then it will hardly correspond to the truth, for a person with such an attitude is rarely capable of love and active in love. But as soon as he is lovingly active he is already close to recognizing the eternal deity, and then a small impulse, a right instruction, is enough to move this person to think correctly. The rejection of an essential deity need not always be a denial of the deity, for with the acknowledgement of the deity as a natural force this deity is also affirmed. However, it is difficult to bring the natural force into closer connection with the human being's work of creation, which directs and guides every individual destiny. And thus it is not possible as a human being to establish contact with a deity for whom the concept of entity is excluded. Without establishing this contact, however, the human being cannot receive the flow of strength from God which determines his spiritual development. It cannot become light in him. Only the life force necessary for the preservation of life is supplied to him, which also includes the function of the brain, the purely intellectual thinking. But this alone will never be able to produce truthful results in purely spiritual problems. The eternal deity reserves the solution of these problems for itself and offers it to those who, in all faith, establish contact with it, who therefore entrust themselves to this deity as feeling inseparably connected, because they recognize themselves to be in constant dependence despite their free will and now, as a result of realization, call upon God as an entity and desire the truth. Thought activity without a heartfelt appeal for God's help can never result in pure truth. But where love is, this realization is no longer far away. However, anyone who lacks love is far removed from the truth. For the working of the Divine Spirit is switched off there, and without God no truth can be brought about. Amen.